and welcome to Bilingüitos Spanish Immersion. I'm so excited that so many of you are interested in joining our teaching team for the upcoming school year, and this is exactly the place that you can find out more information and then apply below. So in this video, what we're going to do is give kind of an overview of who should apply, what the process is like, what do our classes look like how does scheduling work, how long are the classes, how does payment work. We're going to go over all of those details, and then make sure you watch to the very end because we are going to go over a couple special considerations that you should just keep in mind. All right, but first, before we get into how does teaching work, let's talk a little bit about Bilingüitos. What is Bilingüitos? Well, first of all, if we haven't met yet, virtually or in person, my name is Kayla Diaz. I'm the founder of Bilingüitos, as well as a linguist that specializes in childhood and family bilingualism. I started Bilingüitos in 2016 because I found that there was a huge lack of Spanish learning opportunities in my area, and I decided, let's change that. And since then, it's grown into this educational platform that it is today for families raising bilingual kids. Something that sets Bilingüitos apart from other Spanish programs. One is our focus on family bilingualism and really helping families understand what it takes to raise a bilingual child, since that is what my background is in. But two, our programs are different than other Spanish classes you might see out there because our focus is families that are already bilingual, kids that have already had a base in Spanish. They're already bilingual, they're already on that journey, and they just want to go deeper. So our classes are more like enrichment to help them go deeper in that process rather than, Spanish 101, teaching the basics and the colors and like starting from scratch. So that's what's different about Bilingüitos. At this point, all of our classes are virtual via Zoom, which is where you come in. We are looking to expand our class offerings, have more options for the families out there raising bilingual kids, looking for ways to enrich their Spanish. So we want to offer more subjects, so not just general Spanish teaching like what I do right now, which is the Spanish immersion play classes, learning through play. We want to also be able to offer things like electives, so dance, yoga, cooking, and we have done this in the past, but I had a baby, I was on a long maternity leave, and I'm kind of just getting back into the swing of things, running a business now with 2 kids. So that's why we're now expanding again and looking for teachers who can add something unique, something special to what we already offer here at Bilingüitos. Okay, so it's all done virtually, besides our play dates, which are another thing, but that's another part of Bilingüitos is our playgroup network around the country. But right now, what we're focusing on is those virtual classes. So now what we're going to do is I want to walk through who should apply. Are you the right candidate for this job? I keep going like this. So let me share my screen, and you're going to be able to see the list of qualities that we're looking for in our applicants. All right, here we go. So first off, obviously, one of the biggest things we're looking for are people who are bilingual, who are fluent in Spanish. We really prioritize native speakers or native-like fluency just because our classes are full immersion, and so you have to be able to lead the entire class in Spanish. An energetic and engaging teaching style. So with online learning, obviously, and with kids, we can't just be like, entonces, la capital de Colombia es Bogotá. What kid is going to sit through that? Nobody. So energetic and engaging teaching style. Expertise in your subject area. If you are planning on doing a special subject like crocheting in Spanish, you obviously have to have some expertise in crocheting to be able to teach it. If you have teaching experience specifically on Zoom, that is a huge plus since that's the platform we use. But you have to just at least be willing to learn because we do have training. I'll make a tutorial video of all the features of Zoom if you're not super familiar with it. Okay, so one thing to really note, and I meant to say this at the beginning, is that this is super part-time. This is kind of like you just add it into your schedule. It's definitely a side gig. Some teachers only teach 1 class a week. If you're going to do a music class, maybe you're doing music on Tuesday afternoons, and that's it. That's what you're doing for the week. And our classes are either 30, 40, or 50 minutes long. Typically, a special subject is 30 minutes. So you have to keep that in mind, that if you're applying to teach, but it's not going to be your new part-time job, it's going to be your super, 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 super part-time job, which is nice because a lot of us are moms and juggling a bazillion things, and we can't take on, a whole lot of extra work. But something like this is a way to get our get back into doing stuff that we love and in español. Having previous teaching experience is not necessary, but it's definitely a plus. I know a lot of you guys who have reached out are former teachers or current teachers, so that's awesome. And then having afternoon availability is also a plus. Again, it's not necessary, but we do have the most demand for after-school classes. So that's something to consider. Okay, so now let's talk about what does it look like once you're hired. So after you watch this video, you'll be able to apply using this form. And if you move on to the next round, we'll have to square up certain details and like standard hiring procedure stuff. But let's say you pass on to the final where now you're going to start teaching for us. How does it work? So once hired, here's the process of joining our teaching team. You're going to let us know, like, and in the form you're going to let us know too, but you're going to tell us, what do you want to teach? Do you want to teach a music class, una clase de música, una clase de baile, una clase de arte, de dibujar, de acuarelas, whatever. You're going to tell us what you want to teach. Or it can just be general Spanish. We do need some general Spanish teachers, which is just kind of language enrichment through playing and some songs and games and stuff. But if it's not the general enrichment, you're going to do some kind of special subject in Spanish. So you'll let us know. And then you get to set your day and time. Like you can tell us, I can do Tuesdays at 3 or at 4 and Wednesdays at 5 or at 6. And so you basically tell us your schedule that you want from the range that we'll give you. And again, this is very part-time. It's just going to be a couple classes a week. So it's just a side gig. But if we get more and more demand and you want more hours, then we can work on increasing your hours, your time slots, if that's something you're looking for. You set your hourly rate. You decide that you're technically a 1099 contracted worker for tax purposes, so you will set your rate. You'll tell us what you want to earn. But if you're like, I don't know, that sounds scary, I don't know what to charge, I'm happy to tell you like what most teachers typically start at. And it's a good amount, so don't feel like this is going to be like it. We pay well. And then you also get a per student bonus, so that's fun. If you do have something like music that you want to do 2 or 3 classes a week, then the way you would do that is probably divided into age groups, like a mommy and me or parent and me music class, and then an older kids music class. Or if you're teaching dance, you could do one class that's focusing on merengue and another focuses on bachata. But so I'm happy to chat about all those details and kind of brainstorm in that sense. Like I mentioned, classes are 30, 40, or 50 minutes long, depending on subject or age group. You're going to use our software that is like the roster, the registration. You're going to have access to that, so you don't have to like worry about keeping a list of names and emails. It's all going to be there for you. And then you'll use, it's called Sawyer. Then you'll use Google Classroom for parent-teacher communication and Zoom for live teaching. You don't have to, you won't have to do any of the administrative stuff because we have an admin who does that, but you will like sometimes need Google Classroom to say, hey parents, make sure you have maracas for class on Wednesday, whatever. And we'll get you set up with all of those programs. We have trainings, we have tutorial videos and stuff like that. Teachers, like I just mentioned this, you're going to participate in an initial new teacher training via Zoom. And then we'll also have like a library of video tutorials, a teacher manual, some sample classes for you to watch to kind of get an idea of how we do things. And then you'll have ongoing support via WhatsApp and email. For the general language enrichment classes, we also have like a library of slideshows that we share with the teachers so that they can use those to kind of go off of. We market the classes, but you're free to spread the word. And then, yeah, we talked about that. So I'm going to go over a couple special considerations. Okay, so now I'm going to go over a couple special considerations or notes about this process, and then you'll be able to apply below if this interests you. The first thing is that our classes run in 8-week sessions. So we'll have like a September-October session, a November-December session. And when a session's done, like the 8 weeks of classes, when that's over, we start a new class. And a lot of the kids will continue over, but not necessarily. Like they have to re-sign up. So it's almost like it resets. So if your availability ever changes, or you want to change your schedule, or you can only commit to like one 8-week session and then the next one you can't, it's very flexible. So as long as you commit to the one session that you're doing and finish that one out, it's flexible. The next time a new session comes around, we'll always reach out to see if you still have the same availability or if you want to change anything. We'll be in communication about that. we're always in communication about a lot of things. Zoom, I think I already mentioned this, but we will show you the ins and outs of Zoom just in case you're not familiar with it. You'll want to make sure you have a quiet space to teach your classes, something with a non-busy wall. Like, this is a little busy. I've got a blanket on the ground, got some books over there. But this is fine, like something like this, but versus not like this, okay? Whoops. So if you just have like a corner, an office, somewhere in your house that it's quiet, if you have kids, somewhere that the kids won't be making lots of noise, if you have dogs that bark, somewhere that the dogs won't be making lots of noise, that's where you're going to want to teach from. So make sure you have something like that available to you, a space. You're going to need good internet connection and a computer or a laptop that you can rely on, something that is not going to be trying to update in the middle of class unexpectedly. Childcare, obviously, that's the biggest stressor for me with teaching these classes. That's always my thing. I have to make sure I have childcare, obviously, because my 4-year-old would be trying to come in through the door every 5 seconds if I didn't. The classes are recorded, so teachers will have their screen recorded. The kids don't get recorded in the recording, but the teacher, what they're presenting does. And so those classes those recordings get sent out to everyone on the class roster, so that they can, if they miss a class, they can have access to it for 30 days. It's just for 30 days. So keep it in mind. You'll be doing live teaching, but there will be a recording for the students who missed class or who want to watch it again. And I would say about a quarter of our students do it just through recording. So they can't make live classes. So they sign up for the session and then they just watch them each week after they air. Okay, and the final thing I have to mention, at this point, I don't know how it would work to hire people outside of the US. Don't let that stop you from applying if you are outside of the United States. Still feel free to apply, so I have your information ready to go. At this point, I don't have the bandwidth to look into how that works for tax purposes. So if you don't have a tax ID number or a social security number, I'm not sure how that's going to work. I will look into it because I would like to figure out how we can hire people from other countries outside the US. So feel free to still apply, but at this point, like for this upcoming session, I don't think I'll have it figured out yet, but we'll keep you in our database, if that makes sense. All right, so I think that's everything I have here on my notes. I've already gone really long, so hopefully that's everything I have on my notes. Again, I just really want to thank you for expressing interest in working with us, with Bilingüitos. We really value the community that we serve, and we know that a lot of you guys are already part of that community and now are going to be part of it in a different way, kind of in the teaching position now. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if all of this sounds like something you'd like to be part of, just to recap, teaching a couple classes per week, you get to set your pay rate, you get to decide a lot of your schedule, things are flexible, and everything is geared for kids who are already bilingual, and you're just helping them go deeper. As you go through the form, it's going to answer probably a couple more questions that you might have, but then at the end, if you still have questions, feel free to reach out. I hope to chat soon. Again, you can fill out the form here below. Alrighty, muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Ciao.